It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Hey everybody, we are live and welcome to episode 110 of Hump Day Hangouts. We got part of the group here, so we'll do a quick hello and then we'll get started. So Marco, what's going on, man?
Quick hello.
Well played, well played. How's the weather?
It's great, man. It's fabulous. Rain is leaving us. So now we won't have rain for about 4 or 5 months. And it'll still be warm.
Yeah.
That's because all your rain is going to where Adam lives is snow.
Yeah.
That's why I got my beanie on in case we get an avalanche in here. So.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
How about yourself, Bradley? How you doing?
I'm good. Happy to be here. We've got a lot of questions already, so.
All right, we'll keep going then. I wanted to let everybody know next week, if you're subscribers, you're going to be getting an email with some kind of special offers. We've got a couple offers next week that we've never had before. So going to leave it at that. We got some cool stuff coming up, and we're also going to be tying that in with some charity work that we're doing. We're going to be donating some money from each of the sales to two foundations, I guess you call them. But Toys for Tots, the USMC Foundation, and then the other one, I believe, Bradley, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the Shriners Children's Hospital.
Yeah, Shriners Hospital for Children, correct.
That's it. Gotcha. Okay, so we're going to be donating 10% of every sale to both of those, or dividing it up between those two, not to get that wrong. So hopefully, and also if you're interested in just donating, we may put up a, we'll put a link definitely up to that. So, if it's not, the products aren't for you, but you feel like donating and you're in the spirit, then by all means, help out some kids over the holidays. So,
very cool.
And then I think Marco and Bradley, you had something about Near Me, right? Because we had the webinar last week. I think some people were still asking us kind of about the Near Me webinar we did with Mike Pierce. So if you want to just kind of fill people in on what was going on there.
Sure. Before we do that, though, got to say hi to Chris and Hernan, who both show up fashionably late. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Sorry for that, but for some reason, Hangout wasn't liking it. So anyways.
Blame Google.
Same here.
Yeah, of course.
Same here.
Always.
All right. Yeah, as far as the Near Me stuff, guys, since the webinar that we did with Mike Pierce and Angel Cruz about the Near Me domination is what it was called, and looking at the Near Me keywords, there's a shit ton of traffic there. It's kind of tricky as how to, I guess, monetize that traffic properly. If you're going with local, there's some, I think, some restrictions or some roadblocks, because people that are searching with the Near Me keyword are typically, that's like a national search. In other words, doesn't matter where they are in the country, they'll search for that. So optimizing for SEO purposes, there's a ton of traffic. I think I haven't been through the course 100%. I've scanned through it, but I think that for local stuff, there are some challenges that, again, are probably resolved within the content itself, but I haven't been through it 100, like all the way through. However, that said, I've been playing with it ever since last week, because when I saw how much traffic there was on those keywords, it really got me excited. And you guys know I've been doing a ton of pay-per-click stuff, AdWords stuff. So I set up several different campaigns now for Near Me keywords, and I'm testing affiliate offers. And what I'm finding is there is a ton of traffic in those Near Me keywords. The challenge is trying to use for affiliate offers. The challenge is people typically that are searching for like something near me are typically looking for like a service or a class or whatever that's near them. And so trying to monetize that traffic with affiliate offers has been a bit challenging for me. I'm getting a ton of clicks through to my landing page, but I'm not sure that the offer is jiving correctly with that type of traffic. So I'm going to keep testing with various offers to see if I can capitalize on the traffic that's there. But it's pretty exciting, and I think I'm going to continue testing with it. I've thrown a couple $100s in the traffic in the last week at it already, and I plan on continuing to test until I find a few methods that work really well. So I highly recommend that you guys check it out. I don't know if that offer is going to be open for any more than probably about another 24 hours or so. Adam, do you know when it closes? Yeah,
we'd have to look. I put on there. I'm not sure. It might have, sadly, it might already have ended, but I think they said a week, and I thought it was last Wednesday. But if not, like I said, check out the webinar. There's some killer information in there. So
yeah. And the last thing I want to say about it is just that, it's not. I think that there is a ton of traffic there. There's no doubt. I've proven that through my own data. Which, by the way, we're going to have masterclass after Hump Day Hangouts today, and I'm going to be going through some of the Near Me campaigns that I've set up in AdWords with the Masterclass guys. So those of you that are in Masterclass, you'll be able to see some of my data from the last few days. So I'll share that with you. But what I'm saying is there's a ton of traffic there, and why not take advantage of it while it's there? What I mean is, I think that we can, every time we find something, guys, in marketing, especially when you talk about SEO, but I'm doing strictly the PPC stuff on this case study, is we typically want to look for stuff that's long, has longevity. I don't know how long this will last, except that Google is promoting the near me searches. They are, and in the webinar, Angel pointed that out through what they call micro moments and all that. So they're actually pushing that. And in part, when you do a search on a mobile device in Google, you'll see for almost every keyword, the auto suggest will suggest whatever your keyword is plus near me. And that's even starting to show up on desktop searches. So while there are some challenges there, there's a ton of traffic to be had, and I think that we should be exploiting that as to the best of our abilities, which is why I'm testing so heavily on it right now. But we'll have more data as some more test results come in. Marco, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, and it's really simple. I mean, Google is behind this, and so they can end it at any moment they want. I mean, they could end search at any moment they want. It's Google's company, guys. They can do whatever they want. They're going to piss off a whole lot of advertisers if they do that, because there's people that are actually paying for, like you, for ads for near me. And so if they stop, how many people are investing money in near me searches, right? In AdWords and YouTube and whatever else people are buying ads for. So think of it that way. I personally, I don't think it's short term. Neither is it long term. They're pushing people some kind of way into. I don't know what they're trying to teach rank brain. I don't know what it is they want the AI to learn. I don't know what they want from this other than just tons of data, these micro moments, because it's not just near me searches, right? Go ahead, Chris.
Well, the thing is, like, they will replace that with GPS data or like data they get from the mobile phone, location based. So they get all the data right now and collecting that, and we can literally bank quite nicely on that when they are collecting data.
Right.
But you can bet your ass that they will just replace it on any kind of mobile phone and get the data from that phone, and it's just replaced.
Yeah. But until that happens, why not take advantage of it? Is my point.
Exactly.
Right. It's like anything. When we came out with RYS Academy, people kept asking, well, wouldn't they just close the loophole? Well, yeah, of course. They just could. They haven't.
2 years, though.
They haven't. And so
Yep.
why not just keep taking advantage of it? And this is the way we do it. We always tell you, never experiment on a client site. So go get your own stuff. Do it as an addition to whatever it is that you're doing for your clients. Add a page. If anything happens, take it away. Go into a subdomain. Protect your client, right, at all times. But by all means, take advantage of this right now.
Yep. I agree with that 100%. So anyways, anything else we got, guys, before we move on?
I think that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, let's get into some questions. We'll start with Jordan. He says there's a diagram of the IFTTT Facebook on the IFTTT Facebook page that makes this a much simpler question. Huh? Okay, Jordan. I'm not going to go pull that up right now. Somebody else wants to pull that up for me and maybe drop the link.
Yeah, the site's up, actually. It was ClickFunnels was down earlier.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's up. There we go.
So had done for you network built for YouTube for a church. Thus, I have a Google branded page for nonprofit client, Milestone Church, that syndicates their YouTube along with the corresponding profile, personaed as Pastor Little Jeff, or Jeff Little, excuse me. There is also a separate RSS blog fed Google page for the pastor. Okay, blog fed Google page for the pastor that syndicates the blog, and corresponding profile for the pastor that receives a blog RSS feed that is built around the leader's name. We are needing this term to search well. Okay. Currently, the YouTube fed video Google profile, YouTube fed video Google profile, #1 profile, is searching better for Pastor Jeff Little than either the blog RSS branded page or profile #2 from the term. Yeah, this is freaking confusing. Do we have a link somewhere for that, guys? for the diagram? It would help if I had a diagram.
No, I'm looking right now.
Okay.
Jordan, if you've got it, ping me either
Yeah.
privately or on Facebook or something.
We might have to come back to this one, Jordan. Question, would it hurt to manually link to the blog posts in the YouTube Google video profile, number 1 above, link to the blog post, since it ranks higher, or would Google see having a branded page around the person featuring all the posts plus a different profile sharing all the blog posts as gaming the system? Recommendations. Okay, again, without looking at a diagram to where I have a better understanding of this, is a little bit abstract for me to visualize in my mind.
Just got it.
You did.
How do you, yeah, what do you want me to
Drop it in Slack.
can do
I'll click on it.
as soon as Facebook plays ball here? There we go. All right.
Let's go check it out. YouTube feed. Persona. I know you guys probably can't see this. Let me click on it. Maybe I can zoom in. Corresponding profile persona, Pastor Little Jeff. Okay. Best ranking for Pastor Jeff. Why do I keep saying Little Jeff? Some dyslexia kicking in for some reason. It's selective dyslexia. Will it hurt to manually share the blog posts to YouTube profile? No, it shouldn't. And the only reason why I say that, guys, is because it's okay to share to both a Google Plus page as well as to a profile. It makes sense to do so, right? I mean, think about it, guys. We set everything up in the IFTTT training using pages. And the reason we do that is because you haven't been able to post by any automated fashion to a profile until recently, which I think was pointed out to us last week on Hump Day Hangouts, that Buffer now allows you to connect a profile, which I confirmed that today actually, and so that's pretty cool. But Google had never allowed anybody to automate posts to a profile. It was only automated to Google Plus pages, and so that's why we always used pages number 1. Okay. Also, you can separate the page from the persona that way, and that way the persona could actually have multiple pages if needed, and you could syndicate different content to the different pages. So that's in part why we didn't do it. But it makes perfect sense that if you have a legit profile that is associated with the page or the business or the brand, that you would also share your stuff on that profile, particularly because most of the time the profile, Google Plus profiles, guys, are going to have more followers and more engagement interaction than pages do, right? And that's just the nature of Google Plus. If you go through Google Plus posts, like just in your Google Plus feed, you'll notice that almost everything is done via profile, like all engagement and most all posts and everything else. Typically, the brand posts have very, very little engagement, right? So anything that's posted to a brand page has very little engagement. Usually there's not as much interaction, that kind of stuff. So you'll see that most people are profiles are associated with some sort of brand, but the activity is produced from the profile itself instead of through a page. So again, if you have a particular situation or specific situation like what you're talking about here, Jordan, then yeah, it makes absolute perfect sense to be able to also post to the Google Plus profile. And you can automate that now, apparently, according to Buffer. So you might just want to set it so that you don't have to do it manually, unless there's a reason why you're doing it manually. So you can add additional stuff into the post and all that. That's fine if you want to do that. But if you want to automate that, you could always set up a second IFTTT account and a second Buffer account and then connect the Google Plus profile. And therefore, you could automate those posting over to the profile page as well. Does that make sense? Guys, was I clear on that?
Yeah, I think it was clear enough, Bradley.
Okay. Well, then we're going to move on. Okay. Dean says, when evaluating the metrics of an expired domain in Majestic SEO, would you use the values given by, this is a good question, Dean. You have to look at all of it, Dean. In fact, Terry Kyle, let's see if we can look this up real quick. Terry Kyle, let's go look at his blog real quick. He has a great post about this very specifically, if we can find it. And I'm not going to search for it, guys. You can search for it yourself, but let's see. Let's see. You might have it here just a second. Right here. Well, no, that's not it. This is a different one. This is a different post. Anyways, go search on Terry Kyle's blog. It's blog.terrykyle.com, guys. Go search on the blog. Go look through his blog post. It's somewhat of a recent post within the last 2 or 3 months, but he talks very specifically about that, about how whenever you're looking at a domain, you know, especially a domain that you're going to purchase that has expired or whatever, and you're looking at it Majestic, you got to look at all versions of the domain, which sucks. It's really stupid. I wish there was some sort of mean or average that they could come up with, that Majestic could come up with for all the different variations, because it's going to be different, guys, if you're using SSL or not. So in other words, HTTP or HTTPS, whether you're looking at a subdomain or the root domain, and that includes www or any other subdomain, whether you're looking at the full URL, including HTTP, or all of those are all different, going to give you different values. And on top of that, you multiply all those different variations by 2, because there's a historic and a fresh index, and everything is going to give you different results, every single one of those. So it ends up that you end up with, like, I don't know, 10 or 12 different metric values from Majestic for every single domain that you look at. So it's incredibly irritating, but you have to look at all of them and then make the determination. Typically what I do, and again, I off the top of my head, I think the best version to look at is just the root domain, domain.com in this case. Like if you were going to have a final say, that would be the one that I would think you would be the best. But again, I'd have to reference Terry Kyle's blog post to get specific on that again. And so I'm not going to find it for you guys. Just go to his blog and look for it. It's a great post, and he talks about that in detail. Any comments, guys?
No, I would suggest that you also subscribe to his blog because we get a ton of, it's a great blog, and you know, Terry's always at the cutting edge of SEO, and it's I like we take a really similar approach with the no bullshit approach. You know, whatever we're saying, we're testing it, etc., etc., etc. So it's kind of our own genre, if you would. So yeah, I would suggest that you go ahead and subscribe to his blog, because we learn a ton of things from Terry Kyle, and not only that, we kind of test stuff, you know, and then we give it our own tweak, etc. And he is also grabbing stuff from our site, you know. I talk from time to time with Terry Kyle via Skype, and he would tell me that he saw one post or whatever from Semantic yesterday, and he thought it was really interesting. So it's a two-way interaction. So you know, you guys can get a ton of value from his blog as well. So
yeah, he's one of the people that I've truly respect in SEO, guys, for sure. So definitely go check out his blog and look that one up specifically, Dan. You'll find a great post about that. Chris has got a good point. He says, choose the most advantageous and use that as your canonical. In other words, point all of the other versions to that as the canonical. But, you know, again, I just go through that blog post. It'll give you a better idea. Chris W says, does your RSS plugin cause any sort of duplicate content issues if you also have Yoast installed? No, Chris, no. There's no duplicate content issues because of an RSS feed. All an RSS feed does is display content from your blog, right? So it's not an RSS feed. A standard RSS feed is not indexable. Google won't index an RSS feed. Now, some of the RSS, third-party RSS apps that you can use, like FeedBlitz, for example, FeedBlitz will index your RSS feed because it's formatted in an HTML, like an HTML page anyways. So, but even so, that's not duplicate content because it's typically going to be just snippets. And there's going to be multiple snippets on the feed, which will change dynamically every time a new post is added to the blog, right? So it will never be considered as duplicate content. Not only that, but if our RSS plugin gives you a custom RSS feed URL, and then the Yoast one is you just uses or your standard WordPress feed, right? So domain.com/feed, right? So those are not going to be duplicate content. They're just two different feeds. That's all. So no, it will not cause any duplicate content issues. Okay. Sky says, what is the duplicate content issues that should be avoided with AdWords, and what happens if an exact match phrase was deleted at some point? I'm not sure what that means, Sky. that you should be avoided with AdWords. I've never had any content issues with AdWords, period. Duplicate content issues. I don't know that there is, and I'm not sure what you mean by an exact match phrase was deleted. I'm not sure what that means. If something was deleted, just add it back. Maybe you can clarify, Sky. Until then, I'm going to move on. Okay, RYS Academy has been updated, guys. Sorry, that was a bad link. How do you get a PDF indexed by Google? The same way you get anything else indexed, Dr. Brian. You can submit it directly to Google. If it's, make sure first of all it's like a public PDF, right? The thing is if you've uploaded a PDF, let's say to Google Drive, for example, or to Amazon or Dropbox or something like that, unless it's a public link, which you set that as a, the share URL to make it public for anybody to view and index and make it indexable, that kind of stuff. You need to make sure that setting is set correctly, number one. But then all you need to do is go submit the URL directly to Google. You can also tweet the URL if you want, if you've got an active Twitter account, because it's crazy, but especially with, and Dr. Gary proved this in, or showed this, which is pretty cool, in the RYS Academy. But if you tweet, okay, for example, I can, let's see if I can pull something up. I don't know what I have here. No, I don't have a doc open, but if you take a Google Doc, guys, you know how when you're looking at a Google Doc, you can see in the top right corner avatars of other people that are viewing it. And if it's set for like anybody that has the link or public, you'll see generic avatars, and it'll say like anonymous monkey and anonymous ferret and things like that, right? But you'll see all those little avatars in the right, and that's people or bots that are viewing your document. And so you can actually take a Google Doc URL and tweet it out if it's set to public, and you'll see all the Twitter bots come within a matter of seconds sometimes, and you'll see that the top right corner of the doc just light up like a Christmas tree with all these avatars. And so that means the bots are coming to crawl your doc, right? So the same thing, you can do that. You can index it by submitting directly to Google, or you could do something like tweet it out, or just build some links to it, and that will eventually get it indexed, provided that it's set to public.
Yep. Yeah, just to add to what you were saying, Bradley, you can even upload it to your own WordPress. And, if your uploads, or you can host it somewhere that is public, again, on the root, for example, of your server. And as long as it's accessible by Google, it will crawl the entire doc, because the PDF can have live links that Google can actually follow. It can crawl the text within the PDF. So that's that. Another option that I've had great success with was uploading to PDF websites, like PDF hosting websites, like Script, SlideShare. If you have a slide deck, you can turn that into a PDF. DocStock is another one. But if you upload to Script a PDF, you will get a ton of views and a ton of hits from Script, and you have a high chance of ranking it as well, which is the main point, Yep.
Document sharing sites. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also, just Dr. Brian, just so you know, when I said submit directly to Google, just go to Google and search for submit URL, right? Submit URL, or submit URL to Google, and it's going to be the first link that shows up. Okay, so guys, when in doubt, go to Google. So, and you can literally submit the single URL directly through Google Search Console, and you're telling Google to directly come crawl this URL, please, and index it. Okay. Problem solved.
And just just to add on to that, if you spam that URL submitter, you get your IP sandboxed.
Yeah, it's true. Don't spam it. So, all right, Chick's up. He says, cheers. Since several RSS feeds are utilized to power up a tier 2 network, do you think having 3 to 4 customers in either the same or similar niche can share that network from their branded tier 1 branded networks? Yes, Chick, absolutely you can. As long as it's that, because remember, guys, tier 2 networks, which I haven't been recommending for damn near 2 years now, at least a year and a half, I recommend that you stick with a single tier branded network only for blog syndication. For YouTube syndication, there is no limit to how many tiers you can go out because there's no footprint issues. But for blogs, there always has been. So we try to reduce that by injecting relevant content triggers or content sources into the tier 2 networks, right? So that the tier 1 branded networks continue to only post content from the blog itself, not other people's content, right? Unless it's a curated piece of content, in which case it's still being posted from the money site blog. They're just referencing other people's content within the post. But at the tier 2 point, the trigger point, right? So the tier 2 IFTTT networks or IFTTT accounts, you can inject other RSS feeds from related content sources that preferably high authority sources, so that you can continually theme your tier 2 networks and reduce footprint issues, right? Well, Damon Nelson has RSS Masher. I think it's in launch right now, or I think it launches tomorrow. We did a special webinar with him last week. It was opened up to our audience only. If you're interested in that, I'm sure Adam or Hernan or somebody will drop the link. But his RSS Masher actually has changed my mind about tier 2 network syndication, for blog syndication, I mean. Full 2-tier network. In fact, I spent about 2.5 hours today developing out the recipes, or the applets, I should call them, specifically for that. And no, I'm not sharing those here. If you purchase RSS Masher, Jamin's going to be holding a webinar next Wednesday evening, so the 21st, at I think 7 p.m. Not 100% sure on the time off the top of my head, but it's next Wednesday evening, and he's going to be it's a follow-up at the end of launch, where he's going to be talking about best uses and stuff like that of RSS Masher, and I'm going to be coming on as a guest to talk about specifically how to use RSS Masher for tier 2 triggers, which now I'm okay with using that as an or a tier 2 for blog syndication, full 2-tier networks for blog syndication. And so I'm going to cover that next week, Chick, for his webinar. Maybe after that webinar, maybe maybe after the first of the year or something, I'll share that strategy with the rest of everybody else. But to answer your question, yes, if you have several full 2-tier network, so let's say you have 3 tier 2 rings, and you have 3 or 4 or 5 clients that are in a very similar or related industries, with their own branded networks, yeah, there's absolutely no reason that you can't share that 2-tier network across all of them, because remember, they're just supporting networks, right? And that's actually a good way to do it, in my opinion, because now you're going to be syndicating content from multiple money sites out to tier 2 instead of from just one, which is where the footprint issue comes in, right? The whole reason why we use relevant content feeds from other sources at tier 2 is to reduce footprint, so that the tier 2 networks don't always just have content being republished from one blog. That's clearly a footprint. You're doing that clearly to gain search results, right? So if you're using 4 or 5 money sites to feed out to the 2nd-tier blogs, then now you're actually, distributing your content, you end up with the tier 2 networks being fed with multiple content sources, so that it's not always just pointing back to one location. So in fact, that would reduce or eliminate your footprint issues on its own. You wouldn't even really need related content feeds at that point if you had enough other tier 1 blogs actually feeding out to tier 2, if that makes sense. Was that clear as mud? Hopefully I didn't confuse you guys with that. We're going to be talking about this. Pretty clear. Okay. We're going to be talking about this, like I said, next week. Anybody that picked up RSS Masher, whether it's from our link or direct from Damon, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be on the webinar with him next week, and we're going to go over this strategy specifically. Okay. Ivan's up. Hey guys, I finished creating a second IFTTT branded network. Beautiful. +1 around a new service for video promotion. No website yet. How should I use the videos of my first network? Can I upload and publish them directly to the new ring, or use the YouTube like recipes? Like recipes, Ivan. That's the best way to do it, buddy. Just go ahead and set up the like recipes. They're in the account workbook template. And then just go make sure that you're logged in to that channel for that second network, logged into that channel, that YouTube channel, and then go like the videos from the first channel, and they should syndicate out to your second network. Okay. And that's the best way to do it. Greg says, wow, got my RYS stack back so quickly from the recent special. I'm super impressed. +1. Awesome, Greg. Thank you. Jessen, our RYS stack builder, is a ninja. There's no other service out there that can build them like he does. I promise you that. Craig's up again. He says, tried to map a domain to GSite recently, but wasn't allowed to. Are Google Sites no longer free? When I looked, they were coming up as part of the GSuite, which is a minimum of $5 per month. Will this affect stacks, or am I being paranoid? That's a good question, Marco. I'm gonna have you comment on that because it's been a few months since I've built a GSite.
No, I just built one yesterday.
Okay.
I haven't mapped any, so that might be the issue. The only way that you can map now is by paying Google. I'll have to check it out, but I mean, Justin would have told me we now have to pay for GSites if the problem were that they can't be created free. But as far as I know, and I just checked yesterday because I was testing one, they can still be created. As a matter of fact, I was testing both old and new, just to see how much trouble I could get into. And like you can't do anything with the new ones, but they look really good. So no, I don't see any problems. They're still free. Now, if you want to map, he might be trying to map to the new GSites, and that might be a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I don't see any problem with paying Google $5 a month because then you become a customer rather than just a mooch, and it offers some protection. I'm not saying that you're totally protected, but you do get some protection. So $5 a month for the GSuite, go for it.
Yeah. What did you mean by the new sites? You can't do anything with them. I'm curious.
Well, I can't get an RSS feed, and if I can't get an RSS feed from it, then I can't run it into IFTTT. I can't really do all of the stuff that I want. I can't add any. You can't. You used to be able to go into the HTML part and play with that, and now you can't.
Yeah, because it's responsive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be one of the reasons, because you can't manipulate, like you can't play with the CSS since they control it. Now it may be part of a future update where they go as far as WordPress has gone and give us all that flexibility. I don't see it though.
Yeah.
But I mean that's what I meant, that I can't do anything with it other than create a site that looks really good on both mobile and desktop, by the way, or any type of device. It looks fabulous. And Justin, I forgot to mention that, right? Justin did a whole tutorial on how to create a new GSite, and I might be giving that to maybe during a webinar, a special for webinar or whatever. I'll give that training. We'll give that training away if you guys feel up to it. We can discuss it. Anyway, that's what I meant.
Stop giving away the farm, Dick.
Yeah, right?
Oh, how the tables have turned. All right. Next, Emmanuel. He says, hey, guys, for some weird reason, I seem to have a hard time understanding how to silo out a WordPress site. If the permalinks I have, in the permalinks, I have a custom structure of category/post name. Okay. When I create a new post, the permalink looks like, but when I go to view the category, the URL is, yes, Emmanuel, that is correct. Now, what you have to do, Emmanuel, is you have to 301 redirect the category URL to the actual page that you set up. In other words, when you set up in WordPress, if you want to set up silo structure and use pages and categories both, right? Because remember, category structure, guys, deals with posts, not with pages, right? So if you set a category, you put blog posts in the category. It doesn't do anything with the pages. Pages are separate. If you want a silo structure with pages, you create a page and which is known as a parent page, and then a child page. And that will give you the same structure, the physical silo structure, which you see in the URL. In other words, if you had root domain, and then you had a top level page, which would be a parent page, and then you want to have a child page, then it would be root.com/parent page/child page. So that's the physical silo structure, guys. You see it in the URL. You can literally see it visually in your address bar. However, if you want to use a combination so you can go to a third level deep via posts, stay with me here, guys, then you would still use categories for your post structure, for your silo structure using posts. But what you do is you end up because remember, with categories, guys, you can also create parent categories and subcategories, right? So top level categories and subcategories, which again will give you that same structure. root.com/category/category name/subcategory name. But then you can go even one level deeper, and that's with posts. Okay. The way that you work that out or reconcile that inside of WordPress so that you can use a combination of pages categories and posts all in the same silo structure is with the categories, you go create the category, then you go create the page. And if you are using subcategories as well, which would be known as a complex silo structure, then you would also create corresponding child pages. So for every category you create a page with the same slug. You guys get that? So let's say that your slug is top level silo 1. I know that's an incredibly long slug. You would never use that. But let's say it's top level category 1 or top level silo page, right? Then you would create that as a category. Then you would go and create a page and use the exact same slug. No typos, no changes, nothing. Make sure it's the exact same slug. So top level silo page. Then you go in with a 301 redirect plugin. You can use simple 301 redirects. And you take the category URL, right? So anything past the .com here in this case, you would take that the slug part of it, you know what I'm saying, for the category, and then you would point that over to the page URL, the matching or corresponding page URL, so that if anybody ever clicks on a category, it redirects them automatically, and they'll never see it. It's done automatically, but it'll redirect them to the page, which is what you want. On top of that, whenever you start building out your silo with supporting posts, right, you should always link within the post a contextual link back up to the category, right? So by doing so, you're always going to be feeding relevancy back up to that top level page. You don't want to rank a category page. You want to rank a page, right? So you want to make sure that your category URL is redirected to your page. Now, that's something that we cover extensively in stuff like Masterclass and Mastermind. I don't have time to draw out a diagram to show you guys that here on Hump Day Hangouts, nor is this the place for that.
Hey, Bradley, I posted links to our video. We have a video series where we go into silo architecture.
Correct.
Simple, complex. So I posted it further up. If anyone wants to click on it and go take a look, you're more than welcome.
But that's a great question, Emmanuel. For real, that's a really good question. I understand that trips a lot of people up. Marco, thank you for posting those. I did 2 videos for simple silo structure and complex silo structure, and there's diagrams in there. And if you need additional help beyond that, Emmanuel, come join us in the masterclass, and we'd be happy to diagram that out for you and help you with it. Emmanuel's back up. He says, also, I noticed LinkedIn isn't in the IFTTT 2.0 training. Does that platform not work well with IFTTT? No, it doesn't, Emmanuel, or else it would have been in there. A couple reasons why it doesn't work very well. Number one, creating fake LinkedIn profiles, they don't stick. They get terminated very, very easily, so it's a waste of time if you're trying to create persona profiles. Second, I have tested, it used to be a few years ago where you could post to a company page inside of LinkedIn from IFTTT, but I think that option has been removed. So I just don't mess with it. It's just not worth it. There are ways for, if you have your own profile for LinkedIn, because I don't recommend creating fake profiles, guys, for LinkedIn, unless you're using Browsio. If you're using Browsio, and that's a different case altogether, because then you're going to have a specific IP associated with that account, and you are going to leave your cookies in that browser specific to that profile anyways, so that you create a digital footprint, which is what you want. And then you can actually build out some great LinkedIn profiles and get a lot of traction and stuff with those and not have to worry about them being terminated. But unless you're using Browsio, then no, I don't recommend creating fake LinkedIn profiles. They won't work. They won't last. Not only that, but it's a pain in the ass to get them to post correctly. But there are ways that if you have a real profile, or if you're using Browsio, that you can post directly to LinkedIn from other sources instead of through IFTTT. Okay. So I would, but yeah, that's why it's not in there, guys, because it's just a pain in the ass. If there was if the company pages posting applet or recipe worked, then I would have added a section in the training for that. But since it doesn't work, and I mean, I've tested that somewhat recently as well within the last few months, and it still doesn't work. So we just avoided that altogether. Okay, Brian's up. He says, hi, Brad and team. I have a video that was on page 1 of Google for about 140 searches per month. Then it dropped to page 2 about 3 months ago. I tried embeds, links, AdWords for video, social signals, etc. Waited for another month, and the video will not move back to the first page. Any advice on how to get that video back to the first page? I even changed the title tag, but it will not budge. Well, my question, Brian, would be, have you used silos, playlists, essentially siloing out? And if you've been through our YouTube Silo Academy, which you should have been by now, there's a couple different ways. One of the ways I call a mono silo within that training that really helps with videos that won't budge. But you're going to need to create a bunch of supporting videos. They can be spam videos. It doesn't matter. But you need to put them in a playlist, make sure everything is interlinked correctly within the playlist, within the silo, essentially. And then you have all of those additional supporting videos that you can use to drive, build links to, which will force link juice back up to the top of the silo. In this case, the video that you want to rank. It's a great strategy. It works really, really well. It should still work. It's been a couple months since I've done that, but it should still work, because then you're piggybacking off the internal linking structure of YouTube.
I have an even more basic question for him, because he says it dropped, and then he started embedding. He tried embeds, links, AdWords, social signals, and all kinds of stuff to it. Did he do that as soon as it started dancing? Because if he did, he could be permanently sandboxed.
Could be.
And so I mean, how soon after the video tanked did he start hitting it with everything that he could think of, which is what it looks like he did? And then after he did all that, he waited. That's what I get from the post. So I need to know, basically, how long did you wait, Brian, before you started hitting it with embeds, links, AdWords, and everything else?
Yeah. The one thing I would say about YouTube, though, is that I've taken videos that I have had sandboxed or demoted because of being too aggressive with links and stuff, and been able to recover them by engagement signals alone, which doesn't mean buying social signals, guys. It doesn't mean building more links or more embeds. What it means is getting viewers to your video and not spam viewers, unless you're using something like a CT spam tool, like what I mean by CT spam, click-through spam tool, such as crowd search, right? That's something that will work. It does help, especially if you set up referral traffic. We've talked about that before. I'm sure you can find a video on our YouTube channel where we talk about sending referral traffic to YouTube videos. That helps. But also, if you buy, I know you said you did AdWords for videos, but it depends on what you were doing. If you do AdWords for video and you do, like, for example, a video discovery ad for your keywords, and you can get some traffic to your video, it's the engagement signals of people clicking on your video and watching. When you use AdWords for video, guys, you're paying Google for views. You guys get that? You're paying Google for views. Now, Google tells you not to buy spam views or to try to get. YouTube will terminate your account if they think you've done that. That's why those viewing services don't work anymore that used to. But if you buy views from YouTube or from AdWords for video, then it's all bets are off. Like, that's not against terms of service. So my point is that you can, and especially if it's for a local term, and Brian, don't know whether it's for a local term or not, but you can set up your video discovery ads, for example, to that video and have your geo targeting, but go with broad, like affinity targeting or even topic targeting. Don't go with such keyword targeting, because a lot of times if you have a narrow geographic targeting area, you won't get much traction with just keyword targeting or even placements for that matter. But if you're doing placements, wouldn't be for video discoveries anyways. That would be for in-stream ads. But for video discovery ads, you could do something like topic targeting or affinity targeting, which is very broad or very general, and you'll get a flood of traffic to your video. And that a lot of the times, and especially, again, keep in mind, I mentioned the geo-targeting if it's a local keyword that you're trying to rank it for. Because if you set up your geo-targeting correctly, all the views that you're paying for from your AdWords for video will be from local IPs. So it gives a huge engagement signals, the right engagement signals to Google to help promote that video back to page 1 of the search results, because it's getting local IP click-throughs. Does that make sense? If it's not a local video, then you can still, it's going to require more views, but you can set up the video discovery ads, target it that way to where you get clicks through to the video. Also, you can set up an in-stream ad that clicks when somebody clicks the link in the in-stream ad that takes them to your YouTube watch page for that video. So most people think of in-stream ads as using driving traffic to landing pages, but you can use a YouTube URL in an in-stream ad. In other words, you can have people click through from the in-stream ad over to a YouTube watch page. And that works really well because then you can set up in-stream ads with specific targeting and placement targeting for other videos that are completely relevant to what it is that you're trying to rank. So now you're getting relevant traffic to that video as well. So there's two things to keep in mind here. Number one, if it's local, set up AdWords for video with geo-targeting, but go with broad topic targeting. Like, you don't want to go too narrow with keywords or anything else. You want to go with broader topics just so you get a flood of local traffic. If it's anything other than just a local video, you can also set up in-stream ads on highly relevant videos as placements, right? And then have those ads click through to that video, which will give you that topical engagement or topical relevance engagement, if that makes sense. Okay. But also, like I said, if you want to set up strictly from an SEO point of view, if you want to set up a playlist using the YouTube playlist, YouTube Silo Academy strategy, which is using playlists to silo out your channel, you can use something like Hangout Millionaire or Live Rank Sniper or something like that to blast dozens of spam videos out in the same playlist that all link back up to that one top of silo video, which is the video that you're trying to rank. And now you have all those different videos as spam points that you can like literally throw kitchen sink spam at, because it's going to flow through back up to the top of the silo, which is the video you want to rank. But guys, for ranking videos, I don't encourage just doing strictly SEO stuff. Engagement is one of the biggest factors for ranking videos now. So if you can buy engagement signals directly from Google, do it. Right? Okay, Virginia Surgeon's up. Greetings. How do you really know when your site has been sandboxed? Thanks, Toby. One good way is to search for the brand name. Okay, do a Google search for the brand name and see. You should be ranked. Your site should rank #1 for your brand name search. If it doesn't, if there's third-party links and or third-party pages and stuff like that that rank above your site, chances are it's sandboxed. Another thing you can do is search for the domain name. In other words, go to Google, search mydomain.com. and see if it comes up on top. It should, but I like to do both. I like to look at the brand search first and then also look at the domain search, and it should be #1, both of those. If it's not, there's typically an issue. But Marco and Hernan, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that as well.
That's actually a good question. Yeah, I'm trying to think what have been my experience, in the past with this. Like,
all right. So while you're thinking, since
I have
Semantic Mastery. Hold on, Marco, real quick. Since I searched Semantic Mastery, you see how this comes up #1. You can do the same thing, guys. Is search Google for semanticmastery.com, and in both instances, you should come up #1. Well, in that case, I need to go to google.com to do it. But in either case, you should come up #1. And if you don't, then there's typically an issue. That's a pretty good indication. Go ahead, Marco. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a really simple way that I test, but I don't know if we should give it away for free. That's my concern. You're telling me I'm giving away too much, but there's a really simple method that's like 100% sure for you to know whether your site is sandboxed.
Are you going to share it or just tease us?
I'm asking, should I give it away?
Yes, give it away, man.
Okay. You set up a Google Doc with a gobbledygook title. Meaningless, really long tail. And you set up a page on your site with a really long tail with the same, right? Page, long tail page. And then you get them both to index. If you don't rank the website for that gobbledygook page, that page for that gobbledygook keyword, but your Google Doc does, and it will, then you have a problem. Right? You'll know if you're sandboxed immediately because you won't rank.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah. I like using on this case because I was looking for a panel on SEMrush. On this case, I'd like to use SEMrush because you can actually see, I think that SEMrush in terms of exposure or keywords that you're ranking for is one of the fastest one, in terms of, not in terms of links, not in terms of but in terms of how many keywords you have actually ranking within the top 100, you know? So besides that, if you can make a quick search on SEMrush and see how many keywords you have ranking, if you have 0 or very little, like a couple, there's a high chance that you are being sandboxed. Besides the other two techniques that Bradley and Marco just shared. So that would give you quite a good panorama of what's going on, you know?
Very good. Okay, Tony Zubby says, what is the main thing to think of when diversifying the on-page SEO between branded domain versus EMD domain? Okay, first of all, I don't recommend EMD domains, guys, unless you're doing like just churn and burn stuff, because I stopped using EMD domains probably close to 2 years ago now. You can still use EMD domains, guys. There's no doubt you can. The problem with EMD domains is that the on-page, you're at a disadvantage in that you're so much closer to tripping or triggering an over-optimization penalty right off the bat. And you're coming out of the gate already towing the over-optimization line. Does that make sense? And this is Adam scaring me with the Joker image. 5 more minutes. Okay. But yeah, my point is you're towing that line right out of the gate. And so that's why I don't like to use EMD domains. You can still do it, but you have to be a hell of a lot more careful, and means all of your other optimization, on-page optimization stuff that you do has to be diluted or watered down. Okay. So what I do is I recommend, you know, always going with a branded name or at least maybe a partial match domain instead of an exact match domain. That's better in my opinion. But if you can go with something branded, you're much better off, because then you can optimize as usual. But with EMD domains, you have to be a lot more careful, because remember, the keyword is in the domain at that point. So you're already sending a signal to Google that you're an SEO. And if you have the keyword, an exact match keyword in the SEO title, and then you have an exact match keyword in one of the H tags, particularly the H1 tag, which is the page title, right? Then, you know, that's Google. The first things that Google looks at when the bots come and crawl your page, guys, is that it looks at your SEO title number 1, your URL, your H tag or page title, your H1 tag, which is your page title, and then your meta description, believe it or not. Those are the first 4 things that it looks at. Why do you think it's in the top of the head section of the site? When you look at view page source, all that info is right at the top. The metadata is right at the top, because Google looks at that first. And if it sees an exact match keyword in more than one of those 4 locations, it's already going to give your page a lower quality score right off the bat. It's looking, it's tainted. It's now looking at it through a lens, you know, an over-optimization lens, right? And so you're sending a signal before the bots even crawl the content on the page. You're sending a signal that, yes, this page is most likely over-optimized. So that's why I recommend going with a branded domain instead. And I always like to stick the exact match keyword in the SEO title. In fact, one of our mastermind members, Dr. Gary, who's also behind RYS Academy, he actually posted in our mastermind some examples of how he proved that the SEO title tag is still the most important factor for keyword recognition by Google. And so, and that was just this week he posted that. So my point is that when you're doing on-page SEO for branded domains, you have a lot more flexibility and leeway before triggering that over-optimization filter, in which case, by the way, I would put the exact match keyword in the SEO title. And then I would use variations of that exact match keyword in the other locations, such as the page URL, the H1 tag, and the meta description. Use variations of the exact match keyword instead of using that that EMK, exact match keyword, right? But for an EMD domain, I would not use the exact match keyword anywhere other than perhaps in the SEO title. Everything else, I wouldn't. You'd have to try to de-optimize or optimize less the rest of the page or the post, if that makes sense. And by the way, guys, keep in mind that when Google crawls your page or your site, it's looking at the entire site, not just the content of the page or the post. That's why a lot of the SEO plugins are junk, in my opinion, because all they do is, as far as analyzing content and telling you when it's optimized well or not. Like if you are using the Yoast plugin for SEO and you wait, you try to get that little indicator green, chances are you're way over optimized for that post or that page. Because remember, when Google crawls the page, they're looking at your header, your sidebar, and your footer as well, not just the content of that article body, right? So you want to make sure that you don't have the keyword stuffed in your navigation bar. You don't want to have the keyword, too many occurrences of the keyword in your sidebar or your footer, because all of that is taken into play. It's a great tool, and I know we got to go. There's a great tool that you can use. It's free. It's called SEO Centro, SEOcentro.com. And if you go there, there's a tool. It's called Keyword Density right here in the left sidebar. Click on that. You can paste your URL in here of the page or the post once it's been published on your site. Fill out the captcha, click submit, and you'll see what Google is looking at, or what the entire the site and the page in its entirety, including the header, sidebar, and footer. You'll see the keyword density there. And I've been using, it's funny, we also talked about this in the mastermind this week too, but I've been using very specific thresholds. 2% for single word keywords. You want to stay under 2%. You'll know what I'm talking about if you use this tool. That'll show you 2-word or 1-word keywords, 2-word keywords, and 3-word keywords that it's analyzing. So for 1-word keywords, you want to stay 2% or under. 2-word keywords, you want to stay at 1% or under. And for 3-word keywords, you want to stay at 0.2% and under. Okay, and that's just a rule of thumb that I've been using since about Panda 4, around April or May of 2014, and it's held true to the up until now.
Yeah, before you move on, Bradley, I'd just like to mention, because you mentioned one of the best things about our mastermind, and that's how we get all of this input and sharing from the members in the mastermind. Dr. Gary is one who happens to be he helped me with RYS Academy. Clint Butler is another one who's constantly in there just killing it and sharing all of the stuff that he's doing. Now that you pulled up Wayne, he's another one that's constantly in there. Greg, I mean, it's not just us in there answering questions like we do on Hump Day Hangouts or giving webinars or whatever. There's a whole bunch of give and take, and people just sharing all sorts of different strategies. So, guys, our mastermind is just about the best mastermind you can imagine. Of course, I'm biased. I will admit that. I want to be totally transparent. Of course, it's ours, but there's nothing like it anywhere. I can guarantee it.
Yep. And Clint, and I know we got to go before I get yelled at. Clint says, I gave mastermind members a bunch of the document sharing sites that have tons of link value to help boost the IFTTT stacks, RYS stacks, and money sites. I did the same with audio sites for those who leverage content in multiple formats. Join and get them. And Clint is absolutely correct. I sent Clint also a big list of sites that, Web2s and stuff. And he went through every single one of them and confirmed or verified their, whether they were valid or not and whether they should be used. And that was incredibly helpful. And we have a big ass list inside the mastermind for that as well. So like Marco just said, like, our mastermind does rock, guys. But enough of that. Master class starts in about 3 minutes, unless I'm late because I'm stayed too long for this. So thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you guys next week right before Christmas. And if we don't see you next week, Merry Christmas. Thanks everyone.
See you, everybody.
Bye everybody.
See you guys.